If there's one moment that sticks with me one night that split my life into a before and after, it's the time I lost everything and accidentally saved someone else. Sounds backwards, right? But sometimes hitting rock bottom is the only way to realize how much you still have to give. That night, I opened my door to a stranger and his little girl in the middle of a snowstorm, not knowing I was about to rewrite both our lives. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. Snow was falling hard, clinging to my hair, soaking through my boots, and nobody on those gray city streets seemed to notice a woman with tired eyes and a purse hanging off her shoulder. That morning, I still had a job. By noon, I was unemployed, fired for being 23 minutes late, not because I overslept, but because I've been up since dawn giving my mom her insulin, making soup, and waiting for the nurse who never showed. My boss barely looked at me as he said, "We need someone reliable, Julie." All I heard was, "You're not enough." I walked out into the cold, heart pounding, brain numb, sat down on a snow-dusted bench outside a closed cafe, and tried not to fall apart. That's when I saw them, a man and a little girl, maybe 4, huddled under the awning, no bags, no stroller, no sign of waiting for a ride. Just surviving. The guy wrapped his coat around her, but it didn't do much against that kind of cold. The girl met my eyes for a split second. I looked away. A dozen voices in my head told me to mind my business, that I didn't have anything left to offer, that helping strangers was just trouble looking for a place to land. But then I heard my mom's voice, soft and stubborn. If you can help when you've got nothing left, that's when it matters most. So I stood up before I could talk myself out of it. I walked over and tried to sound normal, even though my hand was shaking. "Hey, I live close by. It's warm. I've got soup if you need a place for the night." The guy looked at his daughter, like he couldn't believe it. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "Yeah, I'm Julie, by the way." The little girl peeked out from behind his coat. "Diane," she whispered. "I'm Matt," the man said, helping Diane to her feet. "We won't stay long." We walked through the snow, 3 lost souls pretending we belonged together. My apartment was tiny but warm, filled with the smell of garlic and thyme from the soup I made that morning back when I still had hoped the day would go differently. Diane's socks were soaked, so I found a dry pair and a giant sweater that swallowed her up. Matt fixed a loose cabinet door without saying a word, like his hands just needed something to do. Dinner was quiet, Diane perched on the edge of her chair, Matt eating slowly. He didn't volunteer anything about his life, and I didn't push. I was supposed to go to college on a journalism scholarship. I blurted out instead, but Mom got sick. So here I am. Matt nodded, and for a second, I saw something like respect in his eyes. "I lost someone too," he said quietly. After that, I wasn't sure who I was. We didn't say much else. Diane drew pictures on the rug while Matt washed dishes and quietly fixed a leaky faucet. Later, Diane pressed a little wire bracelet into my hand, green and lopsided, with 2 plastic beads. "You're the first person who smiled at me today," she said. I hugged her, and for the first time in months, I let myself cry, not because I was weak, but because I finally felt seen. The next morning, they were gone. The couch was made, the kitchen spotless, the tiny sweater folded neatly. On the table, a white handkerchief and a short note. "Thank you, M." Inside the handkerchief was a child's crayon drawing. Me, with long yellow hair, holding hands with Matt and Diane under a sky of stars. I pinned the drawing and the bracelet to my fridge with a magnet. Somehow, it made the apartment feel less empty. Days blurred by after that. I pounded the pavement with my resume. I got rejected for being too soft or not tough enough for this environment. One day, after another failed interview, the hospital called. My mom had a heart attack. I ran the 12 blocks there, sat through the night, and wondered how we'd pay for her care. I came home numb, stared at the fridge, the crooked bracelet, the childish drawing, proof that I'd mattered, if only for one night. Then, one Tuesday morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "This is Sarah from Wesper Corporation. Our CEO would like to meet with you." I thought it was a prank. But the next day, I put on my cleanest clothes, rode the subway across town, and found myself in a corporate office that smelled like money and old leather. A secretary led me down a carpeted hallway, opened a tall door, and there he was, Matt, standing in a perfectly cut navy suit behind a desk bigger than my kitchen table. I could barely breathe. "Matt," I managed. Diane squealed, ran across the room, and hugged my legs like she'd known I was coming. Matt smiled. "You didn't know who I was, but you opened your door. That changed everything." Turns out, Matt had just bought Westbrook. He'd been away from business after his wife died in a car accident, just him and Diane, drifting city to city, trying to find their way. The night I met them, they'd just been kicked out of a temporary apartment. No backup plan, no one to call. "You gave us warmth, food, dignity," Matt said. "You reminded me who I wanted to be and what kind of company I want to run." He slid a job offer across the table, not for my old receptionist gig, but as head of employee wellness and community outreach. "I need someone with heart, Julie, not just another resume." For a second, I couldn't answer. I just looked at Diane, tracing little circles on my hand, like everything about this day was normal. The job was more than I'd ever dreamed, but it wasn't easy. People whispered in break rooms, doubting my qualifications, hinting I'd gotten the job for the wrong reasons. One afternoon, I heard someone mutter, "Guess saving the CO gets you a promotion these days." I hid in my office and cried ashamed, angry, lost again. Matt found me there. He didn't say anything, just squeezed my hand and said, "Come with me." That weekend, we took Diane to the park. We flew a red kite, ate ice cream, and Diane drew the three of us in sidewalk chalk. Daddy, Julie, and me holding hands. "She doesn't see the rumors," Matt said. "She just sees who you are." Maybe, he suggested, it was time others did too. That week, Matt called an all-company town hall. He stood in front of the entire staff, holding up the little green wire bracelet. "This was a gift from my daughter to Julie the night she took us in. Without her, I wouldn't be here. She reminded me that leadership is about heart." There was a long silence. Then the applause started slow at first, then rolling through the room like a wave. For the first time, I felt like I truly belonged. After that, things changed. People opened up. My office became a place for stories, advice, and hope. I created new support programs, helped staff get the care they needed, brought warmth into places that had gone cold. At home, Mom got better, thanks to the wellness benefits I'd pushed for. Life started to bloom again. And Diane, every weekend, she came over. We hiked, baked, made messes, and she drew new pictures for the fridge, always with three people, me, her, and Matt. One afternoon, at a company celebration, Matt took the mic. He looked straight at me, then dropped to one knee and held out a small box. "Julie Harper, you were our light on a night when hope was gone. Will you be our forever home?" Diane ran up and hugged me, shouting, "Is this our family now?" Tears streaming down my face, I whispered, "Yes." 1,000 times, yes. The crowd cheered. Confetti floated down like snow. Our wedding was small, by a quiet lake. I wore a simple dress, my mom held my arm, and on my wrist was that crooked green bracelet. Diane sat between us during the vows, holding both our hands. After the kiss, she grinned. We did it. Now, when I walked past the office where I once lost everything, I smile. It wasn't the end. It was the beginning of everything that matters. If this story touched you, made you see the world a little differently, or just made you believe in kindness again, I hope you'll like, share, and comment below. What does real justice look like to you? Where do you stand on second chances, on mercy, on what we owe strangers? I'd love to hear your take. Sometimes, all it takes is one open door on a snowy night to change a life, or maybe even three. Until next time, keep your heart open, keep believing in goodness, and remember, the smallest kindness can spark a miracle.